Hello everyone, and in today's video I'm going to be doing an overview and general review of this phone, which is the Sony Xperia 10 Mark V. So just a quick little overview of this thing. It is a mid-range phone that was released in June of 2021. For the screen, it is IP68 water resistant, 60Hz and 6.1 inches. The display is OLED, which is not surprising at the £400 price point it was launched at. However, a lot of older Sony Xperias which we have reviewed have had LED screens. So as for the chip, we are running a Snapdragon 695, which doesn't sound great, but you'll see later the optimizations they've done to this. And a quick body overview. Right on top, we have a headphone jack, which you don't usually see on phones of this era, so that's nice. This left side here, we have a, if I can get it out, SD card slot, and also where you put your SIM card. Very useful. A lot of phones don't have this now. Again, a nice addition. This bottom, you have USB-C. Now, for the battery, it is 5,000 mAh, which is actually pretty good. The battery life on this thing is pretty insane, especially for a mid-range phone. And finally, the camera. For the video, it records 1080p at 60 FPS. Just like so. And that has been a general overview of the phone. So, for the software, this runs Android 15. However, it originally came with Android 13. And this is pretty much stock Android. It doesn't even have simple apps like a voice recorder. It's just everything you need at the minimum. Settings app, Chrome, stuff like that. A lot of the apps you see here were installed. Weren't pre-installed. So yeah, it feels very snappy on the home screen. You open up Firefox, right? Everything is just very smooth. Open Wikipedia up really quick. And it's fast enough that you can't really differentiate it from a flagship whilst you're browsing. So that's quite nice. And one thing I forgot to mention, when it's turned off, it has a fingerprint sensor on the power button. When it's off, you just tap it like that. Or if you're weird, you turn it on first and then tap it or click it or whatever. So the fingerprint on this isn't very good. You hold it and you have to keep your finger on there for about a second or two. However, I also have the Xperia 1 Mark IV right here, taller screen, as you can see, much better phone. And I just turned it on by accident. Much faster fingerprint scanner than this one. If I just real quick do a comparison, this is 10 Mark V, it's not very good. You've got to wait a bit, you've got to fiddle around, and this is the other phone. Very fast, nice wallpaper too. So yeah. I cut this part out. Now for actually using the phones, I'm going to open up Firefox and do a quick little test just to see how fast browsing is on each of the phones and if you can really tell the difference between a more expensive phone and a cheaper phone. So we're just going to do this one website on the home page and compare them by clicking them at the same time. Connect to the same Wi-Fi, of course. So 3, 2, 1. Well, it looks like the more expensive phone took the edge there, but you would definitely not notice these if you didn't have them side by side. If you're just going to use it for web browsing, I'd go with this. But if you want the maybe slightly bigger screen, maybe a more expensive phone like this, where it's directed at more serious users, has a camera button there as well. So yeah, that's been browsing. Now I'm going to get some games on each of the phones and compare performance. So as you can see by that time lapse, this phone was much like this phone was like 3 or 4 times slower than this when downloading the same game on practically the same network. So I don't know what's going on. The performance and Wi-Fi has something to do with this. That just shows all the hidden things that you don't really realise on the more expensive models, that they cut corners on the cheaper models. Now, since I was so surprised by how slow this one downloaded, I'm now going to do a Wi-Fi speed test on both of them. First at the same time. And that's been the results, both at the same time and both one at a time. Didn't make much difference. But yeah, we can see here, on the same at the time test, this was about 80 down. This was 40 down, as it was in the individual one, about the same. This is 66 in the individual one. And the upload, as you can see, is about the same, at 27. So, yeah. It is worse. My suspicions were right. And that must be the Snapdragon chip. The mid-range chip they just cheapened out on the Wi-Fi. So, yeah. Now it's time to test the games. For my quick little experiment. Over on the right we have the 1 Mark IV Xperia, and here we have the 10 Mark V. So we're just playing COD. I think they're both, that phone is 120Hz, but they're both running at 60. We might change it in the settings later. These are both running on low resolution, and there's practically no dips even on the cheap phone. It's pretty perfect actually. Runs great. Tell me whose gameplay is better, guys. The guy on the right is kind of I don't know, but yeah. So I'm just playing the game. Runs fine. It's probably a bot lobby since connected to the internet, but not an account. So yeah, practically no difference on a heavy game, even though they're both on low textures. Now we're going to see if we can change the refresh rate. So yeah, we are still on 60 Hz. I believe this game might be locked to 60. Only on certain devices you can get 120, even they're pretty good mid-range devices. So yeah, game runs pretty perfect on both phones. They're both on low resolution, but I'm sure if you installed high resolution, you couldn't tell much difference either, since it's all stored on the phone anyway. And yeah, I won. So pretty good performance on both phones. The games aren't really an issue on modern phones anymore, so that's that. As for the camera, we have a 0.5x 12 megapixel lens, a 1x 48 megapixel lens, and a 2x optical 12 megapixel lens. However, there's no way of saving 48 megapixel images. The photos look fine, which is about what you'd expect from a mid-range phone. The colours are nice and the pictures are quite sharp. Video's a little bit disappointing though, with very little stabilisation and no 4K. Hello everyone, we're in a forest and we're just testing the audio of this video. It's recording with the camera app. The resolution is quite bad, it's quite laggy and choppy. The colours aren't good at all. The zoom, well, it's zoom, but it just gets worse and worse. It's optical. That's the 10x zoom. So yeah, that's the camera test.